Book of Heaven, Volume 21, Part 2. March 5th, 1927. How firmness in good is only of God, for once He has done an act, it never ceases. Effects of firmness. How the humanity of our Lord was bond of times, remedy, and model. How God wants the rights of the divine will in safety. I felt myself at the summit of affliction because of the privation of my sweet Jesus, and in my interior I was saying to him, "My love and my life, how can this be? You have departed from me without saying goodbye, without teaching me where to move my steps, or the way I must follow in order to find you. Even more, it seems to me that you yourself have barricaded the ways so as not to be found. And as much as I may go around and call you, you do not listen to me. The ways are closed, and I, exhausted with tiredness, am forced to stop. And I long for him whom I wish to find at any cost, but I do not find. Now, Jesus, Jesus, come back. Come to she who cannot live without you." But while I was pouring out my sorrow, he just barely moved in my interior, and I, in feeling him move, said to him, "My Jesus, my life, how can you make me wait for so long? To the point that I can bear no more. If you make yourself seen, it is just flashes, and without saying anything to me. And so it becomes darker than before, and I remain in restlessness even more. And raving with sorrow, I search for you, I call you, but I wait for you in vain." And Jesus, compassionating me, told me, "My daughter, do not fear. I am here with you. What I want is that you never go out of my will, and that you continue your acts, always, without ever moving from the boundaries of the kingdom of the supreme Fiat. And this will give you the firmness that will make you be like your Creator. For once He has done an act, that act has continuous life, without ever ceasing. An act ever continuous is only of God, who suffers no interruption in His acts. This is why our firmness is unshakable, and extending everywhere with our immensity, it renders our acts uninterrupted. And whatever place we lean on, we find our firmness that gives us the greatest honor. It makes us known as the Supreme Being, Creator of everything, and it renders our being and our acts unshakable. In fact, whatever place we want to lean on, we find our firmness that sustains everything. My daughter, firmness is of divine nature and a divine quality, and it is right that we give this participation and quality of divine nature to one who must be daughter of our divine Fiat and must live in our kingdom. So, Your continuing your acts in it, without ever interrupting them, reveals that you are already in possession of the quality of our firmness. How many things firmness says. It says that the soul moves only for God. It says that she moves with reason and out of pure love, not with passion and out of self-interest. It says that she knows the good she does, and therefore she remains firm in it, without ever interrupting it. Firmness says, with indelible characters, "Here, there is the finger of God." Therefore, be firm in your acts, and you will have our divine firmness in your operating. Then after this I was continuing my acts in the Supreme Volition, and as I arrived at the point of following the acts of Jesus from the moment he was conceived in the womb of the Immaculate Queen, up to his death on the cross, my lovable Jesus, making himself felt again in my interior, told me, "My daughter, my humanity came upon earth as though in the middle of times, in order to reunite the past, when the fullness of my will reigned in man. In creation, everything was its own. Everywhere it had its kingdom, its operating and divine life. And I enclosed within me this fullness of my divine volition, and binding those in the present, first, I made myself the model in order to form the remedies that were needed, the helps and the teachings that were necessary, in order to heal them. And then I bound the posterity to the fullness of that divine will that reigned in the first times of creation. So my coming upon earth was bond of reunion of times. It was remedy in order to form this bond, so that the kingdom of the divine Fiat might return into the midst of creatures. It was model made for all, so that, modeling themselves, they might be tied within the bonds formed by me. This is why, before speaking to you about my will, I spoke to you about my coming upon earth, of what I did and suffered, in order to give you the remedies and the model of my own life. Then I spoke to you about my will. It was bonds that I formed in you, and in these bonds I formed the kingdom of my will. And as sign of this, there are the many knowledges I have manifested to you about it. Its sorrow, because it does not reign with all its fullness in the midst of creatures, and the goods it promises to the children of its kingdom. Then I continued to pray, and I was feeling half asleep, when all of a sudden I heard someone speak in a loud voice within me. I paid closer attention, and I saw my beloved Jesus with his arms raised, in the act of embracing me, saying to me with powerful voice, "My daughter, I ask nothing else of you, but that you be the daughter, the mother, the sister of my will, and that you place its rights, its honor, its glory, in safety within you." And he said this with loud and powerful voice, Then, lowering his voice and embracing me, he added, "The reason, my daughter, for which I want the rights of my eternal fiat in safety is that I want to enclose the most holy Trinity in the soul, and only my divine will can give us the place and the glory worthy of us. And by means of it, we can operate freely and lay within you all the good of creation, forming yet more beautiful things. In fact, with our will in the soul, we can do everything, while without it, we would lack the place in which to put ourselves and in which to lay our works. So, not being free, we remain in our celestial dwellings. It happens as to a king who, loving one of his subjects with excessive love, wants to descend to live in his little hovel. But he wants to be free. He wants to put royal things in the little hovel. He wants to command. He wants that subject to eat his good and delicate foods together with him. In sum, he wants to live his life of king. But the subject does not want him to put his royal things, or to command, nor does he want to adapt himself to the foods of the king. The king does not feel free, and for love of freedom, he goes back to his royal palace. Wherever my will does not reign, I am not free. The human will causes continuous contrast with mine. Therefore, not having our rights in safety, we cannot reign, and so we remain in our royal palace. March 10th, 1927. How, in creation, God gave the rights to possess the kingdom of the divine will. I was following the acts of the supreme volition in the creation, according to my usual way, and as I arrived at the point when God issued the creation of man, I united myself with the first perfect acts that Adam did when he was created, in order to start together with him, and to continue there where he stopped loving him and adoring him, when he sinned, with that perfection with which he had started in the unity of the supreme fiat. But while I was doing this, I thought to myself, but do we have the right to this kingdom of the divine will? And my sweet Jesus, moving in my interior, told me, "My daughter, you must know that before sinning, Adam did his acts in the divine fiat. This meant that the Trinity had given him possession of this kingdom, because, in order to possess a kingdom, it takes one who forms it, one who gives it, and one who receives it. The divinity formed it and gave it. Man received it. So, in his first period of creation, Adam possessed this kingdom of the supreme fiat. And since he was the head of all human generations, all creatures received the right to this possession. By withdrawing from our will, Adam lost the possession of this kingdom, because by doing his own will, he placed himself as though in a state of war against the eternal fiat. And poor one not having enough strength to fight, nor an army well equipped to be able to wage war on a will so holy that possessed an invincible strength and a formidable army. He was defeated and lost the kingdom he had been given by us. More so, since the strength he possessed before was our own, as we had given him also our own army at his disposal. But as he sinned, the strength returned to our source, and the army withdrew from him, placing itself at our disposal. However, all this did not take away from his descendants the rights to reconquer the kingdom of my will. It happened as to a king who loses his kingdom in war. Can there not be the chance that one of his children, with another war, may reunite the kingdom of his father that once was his? More so, since I, divine conqueror, came upon earth to make up for the losses of man, and finding anyone who would receive this kingdom, I would give him back the strength, placing my army at his disposal once again, in order to maintain its order, its decorum, its glory. And what is this army? It is the whole creation, in which, more than a marvelous and formidable army, the life of my will is bilocated in each created thing, in order to maintain the life of this kingdom. Only if man saw the whole invincible army of creation disappear, then would he lose the hope to possess this kingdom again. Then could one say, God has withdrawn his will from the face of the earth that vivified it, embellished it, enriched it. There is no more hope that the kingdom may be in our possession. But as long as creation exists, it is a matter of time in order to find those who want to receive the kingdom. And besides, if there were no hope to possess this kingdom of the divine Fiat, it would not have been necessary that I manifest to you so many knowledges about it, either its will that wants to reign, or its sorrow because it does not reign. When something cannot be realized, it is useless to talk about it. Therefore, I would have had no interest in saying so many things that regard my divine will. So, my mere speaking about it is sign that I want it to be possessed once again. March 13th, 1927. How the divine will does not leave anyone. How it possesses the regenerative virtue and holds everything in the palm of its hand. My poor existence lives under the hard press of the privation of my sweet Jesus. Hours seem centuries to me without him, and I feel all the weight of my hard exile. Oh God, what pain to live without he who forms my life, my heartbeat, my breath. Jesus, what harsh tearing is your privation for me? Everything is hindrance. Everything is hardship. How can the goodness of your tender heart bear seeing me so hampered only because of you? How can you leave me for so long? My sighs do not wound you anymore? my moans, my yearnings, searching for you, for nothing else but because they want life. Do they not move you to compassion? It is life that I want, nothing else. And you deny this life to me? Jesus, Jesus, who would ever have thought that you would leave me for so long? Oh, come back, for I can take no more. Then, while I was pouring out my pain, my dear Jesus, my sweet life, moved in my interior and told me, "My daughter, if to you it seems that I have left you, and you were not feeling my life in you, my will has not left you. On the contrary, its life in you was in its fullness. Indeed, it does not leave anyone, not even the damned in hell. Rather, it is there, fulfilling its inexorable and irreconcilable justice. In fact, in hell there is no reconciliation. Even more, it forms their torment. It is right that one who did not want to receive it, in order to be loved, made happy, and glorified, receive it to be tormented and humiliated. Therefore, my will does not leave anyone, either in heaven, or on earth, or in hell. It holds everything within itself, as though in the palm of its hand. No one can escape it, neither man, nor fire, nor water, nor wind, nor sun. Everywhere it holds its empire and extends its life, ruling and dominating everything. If it leaves nothing and invests everything, could it ever leave its little firstborn daughter, in whom it has centralized its love, its life, and its kingdom? In fact, even though my divine will extends everywhere and holds its empire over everything, yet if the creature loves it, it makes itself all love, and it gives its love. If she wants it as life, it forms its divine life in her. If she wants to let it reign, it forms its kingdom. It carries out its acts according to the dispositions of creatures. It possesses the regenerative virtue. It regenerates divine life, sanctity, peace, reconciliation, happiness. It regenerates light, beauty, grace. It knows how to do everything. It gives itself to all. It extends everywhere. Its acts are innumerable. They multiply to infinity. To each creature it gives a new act, according to their dispositions. Its variety is unreachable. Who can ever escape my will? No one. One would have to go out of creation, or be a being not created by us, which can never be, because the right of creating is only of God. Therefore, my will never leave you, either in life or in death, or after death. More so, since by regenerating you as a special birth from itself, both of you want that it form its kingdom, and wherever it is present, I am there, in my full triumph. Can there ever be a will without the person who possesses this will? Certainly not. And do not be surprised if you often feel as if my life were ending in you. You feel it ending, but it is not true. It happens as to created things that seem to die, but then they always rise again. The sun seems to die, but it is because the earth, in rotating, loses the sun, and so it seems it dies. But the sun lives and remains always in its place. And this is so true, that as the earth keeps rotating, it finds its sun again, as though rising again to new life for it. On earth, everything seems to die. The plants, the beautiful flowerings, the delicious fruits. But afterwards, everything rises again and acquires life. The human nature itself, during sleep, it seems to die. But from the sleep, it rises again, more vigorous and restored. Among all created things, only the heavens are always fixed and never die, symbol of the stable goods of the celestial fatherland that are not subject to changes. But all other things, the water, the fire, the wind, everything, they seem to die, but then they rise again, all animated by my will, that is not subject to death, and that possesses the act of making all things rise again, as many times as it wants. Even more, while they seem to die, they have perennial life, by virtue of the regenerative power of my will. The same happens in you. To you it seems that my life dies, but it is not true, because since my will is in you, there is the regenerative virtue that makes me rise again, as many times as it wants. Wherever my fiat is present, there can be neither death nor goods that end, but perennial life, not subject to ending. You have reached the end of the Book of Heaven, Volume 21, Part 2. Fiat.